Alrighty. Let's see here. Just checking my settings. Output looks good. A lot of this looks like a foreign language to me, which is okay. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, everything looks good. Everything looks good, I think. Okay, YouTube is telling me the stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. We recommend that you use a stream bitrate of 6800 kilobytes per second. Thank you, YouTube. How do I do that? How do I do that? Let's see. Let's look through some options. Latency, can't change. How about settings? That's an overlay. Okay. Don't need that. Manage is going to be something entirely different. Okay, this must be an OBS issue, but my video bitrate is 25,000 kilobytes per second on OBS, but that must be for... No, that's for streaming. The stream's current bitrate is low. I mean, it could just be my Wi-Fi. I don't know. I don't know enough about this. All I'm seeing is that my stream health is excellent. So that's what I'm going to lean on. Okay. Okay, so I am taking a break from my work and wanting to finish off this deck that I started building recently. That's based around, that's a Pauper Commander deck called a Diamond in the Rough. Just a play on words for my commander. Not so much a play on words, but just a little tongue-in-cheek. So for the commander of the deck is this card, Diamond Weapon. It's a 9-mana legendary artifact creature elemental. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each permanent in your graveyard. It has reach and immune, which prevents all combat damage that would be dealt to Diamond Weapon. This is from the Final Fantasy set. Great uncommon commander, very fun, very strong and limited, which we're not in, but nonetheless, good memories from this card. So for this deck build, what's most important, I guess I'll keep this up, what's most important is keeping the cost of this card as low as possible. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each permanent card in your graveyard, and this is my 8th card. Since it's my commander, it's going to be in the command zone for the entirety of the game. And so I want this to always cost 2 mana as much as possible. A 2 mana 8/8 that prevents all combat damage. that'd be dealt to it. It has reach. It's pretty strong for Pauper, certainly. There are some other great giant creatures, Ulamog's Crusher, I think, if I remember, that are as strong or stronger, but those can't be in the command zone. So having this card be as cheap as possible is mostly our game plan. So if we always want this card out, always have this card on the battlefield, we want to make sure that it's giving us a lot of value due to that immune ability. So after we get it very, very cheap and we keep it on the battlefield, making sure that we have effects that give it trample, that give it vigilance, so it's a really good blocker as well as a really good attacker, that force our opponent's creatures to block it, acting like removal. All that stuff is very, very powerful for this, for a casual version of this format. And so we're going to try to take advantage of that. This isn't a completed deck list yet. I have plenty of cards in the maybe board that we'll look through to see what we want to fill out. We're currently at 79 cards for the deck. And we have a lot of ramp. These milk cards are more or less staples for the deck. I mean, every deck, can change depending on the person that's building it, obviously. But these are all very cheap, either repeatable or just generically strong for the effect, whether it's like a creature, for example. There are a lot of creatures here that mill cards when they enter and bring us a land back or another creature back, or give us creatures when we mill certain cards. And each of these creatures are really valuable for our game plan of getting permanents in the graveyard. They're bodies themselves, so they can attack, they can block, they give us value by existing on the battlefield. And when they enter, they put cards from our library into our graveyard, which makes sure that Diamond Weapon stays very cheap to cast. And they get us a land back, so that if this is unlikely, but if we don't hit all permanents or mostly permanents, then we could at least make sure that we're playing a land every turn, so that when we get to higher costs for Diamond Weapon, because it'll most likely get removed, that we're still able to play it as the game goes longer. Especially these 2-mana creatures, Anok Wayfarer, Blanchwood Prowler, Circle of the Land Druid, and Satyr Wayfinder, classic card. These 4 are the best creatures in the deck beside our commander. They might seem weak. It's a 2-mana 1/1 that might draw us a land, but that effect just gives us so much value for our game plan that playing every single one of them is extremely worth it, even for the weaker end ones, which are still pretty strong, like Patient Naturalist. It's an extra mana, it's a little bit bigger. Eccentric Farmer is very similar. Mills us 1 less card, and we have to choose among the milk cards instead of cards in our graveyard, but they do a little extra for us to make up for it. Crawling Infestation, a great enchantment for this effect. At the beginning of our upkeep, you can mill 2 cards, a repeatable mill. Make sure that our game plan is happening every turn, regardless of if we have creatures to do that or other spells to mill ourselves. This is going to happen and just generate value for us over the course of the game. Same with Cool Caller's Bell. Not quite as powerful, but very cheap to cast. It's only 1 mana, and every single turn we can mill 1 card from our library and from our opponent's libraries, which is like indirect removal at times. You could get rid of a strong card from an opponent's deck who might not be able to take advantage of it being in their graveyard. Excuse me. In addition to that, we want to lower the amount of non-permanent cards, especially that mill for us, as much as possible because we want our graveyard to be filled with permanents. So the most um, so having a much higher concentration of permanents in our deck versus non-permanent cards is beneficial to our game plan. So we're trying to lower the amount of permanents that give us value and making sure that we're replacing spots that, for instance, in sorceries that would normally be really good for mill, or really good for protecting our creature or otherwise, and trying to fill those spots with permanent cards instead, so we're not getting any duds when we put cards in our graveyard. However, there are some really strong non-permanents that we want to run that still help with our game plan. So Seed of Hope, I think, is a pretty good one. It's slightly underrated, but just 1 mana at instant speed to mill 2 is very efficient, and we can get any permanent. It has to be from among the milled cards, and so the likelihood to miss is much greater with this than any other card in the deck. It's going to gain us a little bit of life, which is stronger than you might think, especially in Pauper. But the chances of it being a permanent are very high. And remember, the more permanents we have in the deck that give us value, the more likely it is we'll get one from this card. We don't have too many more. Commune with the Gods, I think, is the only 2 mana mill 5. Because we reveal the top 5, and you put a creature or enchantment into your hand, and the rest in your graveyard. We don't really have a ton of enchantments. We have some like Crawling Infestation and some auras here, which we'll get to, but it's mostly for that creature half that we wanted. It's kind of 50-50, but the point is 2 mana to possibly put 4 cards in your graveyard and draw 1 is really, really strong. And I think it's the only one at common that allows us to do that. Malevolent Rumble, similar, 2 mana, reveal 4, and you can put a permanent into your hand and the rest into your graveyard, so it's 1 less card, but it generates an Eldrazi spawn. If you see right here at the bottom, create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token with sacrifice this creature, add 1 colorless. So it's not permanent ramp, but it's similar to ramp. If we play this on turn 2, then the next turn we're going to have 1 extra mana than our land drops will give us. So if whatever reason this is our only ramp, at the beginning of the game, which is also unlikely, then we'll at least have a way to get to Diamond Weapon really fast. For example, in that play pattern, if we play a land on turn 1 and an elf, land or elves or something, turn 2, we play this, let's say, worst case, then on turn 3, let's see, that'll be 3 permanents in the graveyard, 3 lands on the battlefield, and 2 mana on the board. That's 8 total mana. So we'd be 1 off, I think, or yeah, we would be 1 off. So that's on turn 3 with a not super optimal play. But this card is really strong for those reasons. So it's worth, even though it's not a permanent, it's worth it because it's still helping us get to our game plan. Now all of these mill cards are ramp adjacent because of our commander's ability of cost reduction, depending on our graveyard, but not true ramp for other cards in the deck. So we're still going to run a pretty hefty ramp package. Nothing. We're trying to stay very efficient because our game plan is getting to Diamond Weapon. So making sure that we're not running any ramp that's too expensive when we're going to want to be doing other things is important. Skyshroud Claim is the highest cost one that we get, but the lands enter untapped, so the goal is to play something else in addition to it. Similarly to Harrow, this is one of the best ramp cards in the deck. It allows us to sacrifice a land and get 2, and they enter untapped. And so that's an extra permanent in our graveyard that makes up for it not being a permanent. and then we can use the lands immediately when they enter the battlefield. So those are very valuable. Wood Elf, Spring Bloom Druid, it has the same effect as Harrow, except it's a creature itself. It's also permanent. So this is possibly the best ramp in our deck. Another creature that gives us a forest, untapped. Far Wanderings has seems maybe a little inconspicuous at first. 3 mana, sorcery speed, search your library for basic, and enters tapped. It's not a permanent, ramp's not very strong, but it's got this ability Threshold, which we'll see a few more times, that if we have 7 or more cards in our graveyard, instead we search for up to 3 basic lands and put them into the battlefield tapped. And that is very, very strong. It's making sure that we're not drawing as many lands, and we're going to try to mill as much as possible, as fast as possible, so getting to Threshold would be really, really easy. And so this card, I could see this maybe not fitting in, because we don't necessarily want to play this early. We don't want this to be our turn 2 or our turn 3. We want this to be like after we play Diamond Weapon for the first time and it gets removed. The commander tax adds 2 more to its cost. Maybe we need a few more lands to supplement that, or we decrease the cost of Diamond Weapon a lot, so we don't have a ton of lands. We just have a lot of stuff in our graveyard. So if we want to play some of the higher cost spells we might have in our deck, this is good as a later piece of ramp to get us there, knowing that we'll have cards in our graveyard beforehand. So it's not as efficient as some of the other ramp we have, but it still has a very powerful effect at a point in the game where we might need it. So for now, at least, it's worth the inclusion. I'll come back to that in a moment. Sakura Tribe Elder, amazing creature, classic magic card. It's a permanent that ramps us. Moss Diamond, it's 2 mana ramp, which is good. It's also a permanent, so if it gets milled, it's still valuable. It's not the best kind of ramp. There isn't a ton of artifact removal in Pauper, at least not incidental artifact removal. But nonetheless, it's still possible to be removed, so it's not as ideal as just something like Nature's Lore or 3 Visits. That's 2 mana ramp that gets us a forest untapped. And lands you're not going to really be able to interact with basic lands like you can an artifact. But nonetheless, it's still strong ramp for Pauper, so we've got it here at least for now. Now, Nature's Lore and 3 Visits are non-permanents, which isn't super ideal, but like Sky Shroud Claim, and Harrow, those lands enter untapped, so you can have a play pattern where you've got land on turn 1. Maybe you get to play one of our 1 mana ramp pieces here, and then turn 2, if you have, which is super rare, but if you were to have 3 Visits and Nature's Lore in your hand, then you could play, on turn 2, 3 Visits, and then another Nature's Lore, or another 2 mana card of any kind. You could do 3 Visits, and then a Commune with the Gods, and all of that would be really, really strong. One moment here. Hey, Jordan.
Are you recording for me right now?
Maybe.
Wow.
I'm taking a break.
Okay. I had my instance.
How'd it go? Or do you not want to talk about this? Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. My beautiful girlfriend called me. Not that anyone is watching this anyhow, but uh, this is for her, so let's get back into things. Oh yeah, so I was talking about the ramp package here. Um, yeah, so 3 visits in nature's lore have similar utility to Sky Shroud Claim. I mean, they're just really strong. Like, it's almost worth the anti-synergy because the play patterns they make are just super worth it. Um, they make for really strong turns, and they're very efficient, and you can play them very, very early. So it's worth having. I mean, in play testing this, which I haven't done yet, I'm sure I'll find some situations where maybe I milled like two non permanent either mill or ramp or something, and that kind of ruined that turn or something. And it could be worth, there's some random element, so it's to be forgiven a little bit, but it could be worth switching one out for something slightly different. But I haven't gotten there yet, so sticking with this on paper, this looks super strong. Also, you might be wondering, for anyone who knows 3 visits, that doesn't look like the card, that this looks like the card, either the Final Fantasy stuff or the Doctor Who or these commander decks. But all of them are uncommon, which in Pauper is illegal. You can only play with common cards except for your commander, which is uncommon. However, 3 Visits is originally printed from Portal 3 Kingdoms, which is this card right here, which had a very, 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 very extremely limited print run, which is why it's $85 on TCG Player and $70 on Card Kingdom, which is also a very big disparity between there. Um, and when it was printed in that set, it was printed at common. And for those who have played Pauper before, I love Pauper, um, you know that as long as there's one printing of a card at common, no matter if it gets upshifted or if it was previously a rare and it gets downshifted to common, whatever it is at a future reprint, then it is legal in the format. And just to prove it to you, if I look up the revisits here and go to Scryfall, I check this out just to make sure. My browser will load it. You will find. Oh boy, come on. I wonder if it's because I'm streaming. Anyway, we'll return there. You'll find that it is common. It's a common card. Oh my gosh, seriously? This is not gonna load. How about this one? Maybe. Back to this one. Okay, you know what? Look it up yourself. If you have a question, look it up yourself. You'll be able to see that it is common. Okay, now the 1 mana ramp here, all of which are permanents, which is more or less why they're tolerated in the deck. I mean, 1 mana ramp is obviously very, very strong, like Wild Growth and Utopia Sprawl. Both give us more mana, even if they're maybe a little bit more susceptible to interaction because they're enchantments. They, on turn 1 you could play a Wild Growth onto the only land that's available, and on turn 2, when you play a land, you've got 3 mana available to you, just like you would, if you had a Llanowar Elves or any of these other elves. And they're a little bit more protected than the elves. And yeah, they're just very efficient, so similarly to Nature's Lore and 3 Visits, worth it in the deck. And if you milled them, they would count as permanents to reduce our cost. So those are pretty solid inclusions. The elves are strong in Pauper, without a doubt. And even in mono green or green heavy decks, having creature mana dorks, creature ramp like this. Well, I guess it's not. it's ramp adjacent because it's not giving us a land that's permanent. We only gain the extra mana while the creature's on the battlefield. Can't use it immediately. If there's a board wipe or a removal spell or something, then your ramp is gone. Um, and creatures are the easiest permanents to remove. So, having four of them maybe is too much. Maybe only three is necessary. I think playing with the deck will help me figure that out. Like 15 ramp in addition to all the mill, which we even probably want more of, might not be necessary for our game plan of just getting our commander out as fast as possible. And Seed of Hope mills 2 cards, which reduces Diamond Weapon by 2. Elvish Mystic only gives us 1 mana, and they're the same cost. So I think there's room to cut here, but they're still permanent, so milling them or playing them on turn 1 does very similar things. It's not gonna hurt us, if this goes in the graveyard and it's not super efficient on the battlefield. But yeah, 4 might be a little too much. The only other cards we have here, beside the ramp and the mill, as I've gone through, are kind of either generically strong, that would be in this deck, or really any green Pauper Commander deck, or very synergistic to our game plan. So, for example, Luring Scent is very high synergy, 3 mana sorcery. It's non-permanent, but all creatures able to block target creature this turn do so. Allows us, to swing in with Diamond Weapon or any, in addition to any other creatures we have on one opponent and force all of that opponent's creatures to block Diamond Weapon. And as you know, Diamond Weapon prevents all combat damage that would be dealt to it. So all of the, my opponent's creatures would block Diamond Weapon. Diamond Weapon would not die. We'd deal 8 damage split among all of them. Hopefully kill 2 or 3. And then all of our other creatures would deal damage uninterrupted. So it's a pretty strong move to end a game, or remove a problem player or something like that. I don't mean the person, but if they're winning, then we want them out of the game so that we can win. And so a card like that is very strong for that game plan. Similarly, Seton's Desire. This is one of our few auras in the deck. Buff, our Diamond Weapon, but also this is Threshold again. As long as we have 7 or more cards in the graveyard, all creatures able to block enchanted creature do so. Oh boy, here we go. Jordan, what are you doing? Okay, listen, I'm not a streamer, alright? I'm not used to. This is mostly a video for you and less a stream. But I see it, I see it. What is that? What do you mean he's so Portuguese? Opponent. Yeah, I misspeak sometimes. Alright, sorry I'm human. I wonder if there's a better way to do this. Let me try squeezing this down. It's still visible. And that way I can have the chat in the background. Will that work? I love you too. It won't work. Damn, okay. There's probably a way to. Oh, that's why streamers always have like second monitors, so they can see the chat or something like that. I will check every so often just for you, Jordan. Thank you for all the support here. What's that little badge you got next to your name? He has it in his lap, so he looks down. That's gotta be uncomfortable. Portuguese means cute. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that little symbol means, but congratulations. Okay, I guess, yeah, you're like one of the first. You're an early adopter to me as a content creator, Jordan. You're an early adopter. That's what that badge is for. Okay, I'm gonna get back to this for you, so the video isn't 2 hours long. Yes, you are the best ever. Okay. um, right. So set on's desire. All creatures able to block enchanted creature do so. So as long as this is attached to Diamond Weapon, and we've got a ton of cards in our graveyard, which we should, if we want to win, then it's going to be a free attack every single turn. We're going to be killing creatures if our opponent has any, or we're going to be making room for our other creatures to deal damage. So super strong, very synergistic. Steel of Primordium similarly is, or I guess not super similar effect, but I mentioned this a bit earlier that we want to replace cards that would normally be non-permanents with permanents that have the same effect. So this is a great example of that. This is a naturalize, but on an enchantment. So we play it, can leave it on the battlefield if there aren't any artifacts or enchantments we want to remove, and then we can just sacrifice it whenever there are, and it'll go to the graveyard as a permanent. Or if we mill it, it'll be a permanent, even if it takes up a slot that's removal. So we want stuff like that, stuff like Lignify, which is similar, removes a creature, turns it into a 0/4 that loses all abilities. This is pseudo removal, but it's also permanent, so it goes into our game plan. Dragon Fangs is maybe one of the best cards in the deck. It's a 2 mana aura that gives a creature +1/+1 and trample, which Diamond Weapon does not have, so allowing it to deal damage more favorably. And it's recursive, meaning that it can come back for free from the graveyard to the battlefield whenever you cast a creature with converted mana costs. Or I guess it's just whenever a creature with converted mana cost 6 or more comes into play. So as long as it enters, I guess it doesn't have to be cast. You can return it from your graveyard to play, enchanting that creature. So whenever we use this on our Diamond Weapon, if Diamond Weapon is removed, then we cast it again. This will come back from the graveyard and attach to it. So as long as this is in the graveyard and we're playing Diamond Weapon, which is everything we want to do to win the game, then we're always going to make sure that Diamond Weapon is trample, which is phenomenal. Similarly, Rancor is such a classic nostalgic card. Very cheap, gives a creature some extra power and trample, and if it goes to the graveyard from the battlefield, then it's returned to my hand. So as long as I have Diamond Weapon on the field and I play my Rancor on top of it, if Diamond Weapon is removed, when it's removed, I'll get Rancor back to my hand, and then I can keep doing that, which is fantastic. It sucks a little bit if this gets milled. There's no way to get it back, but having it in your hand is worth that edge case. But regardless, it's a permanent, so it helps us for reducing our cost. Some of our creatures right now, these are unique cards that fill some gaps. They're a little bit more like glue than these other mill cards that allow us to play the game that we want to. But Generosent, a permanent that could get us a forest with forest cycling, discarding it to get us a land, which is kind of like a tapped land, if you could think about it like that. Early in the game if you need it. Otherwise, it's a 6 mana 5/7 with reach that creates a food token. It's a great creature in Pauper to play later in the game. Golgari Brownscale. I knew I wanted something with Dredge. There are 3 green cards with Dredge in at the uncommon slot, and the other ones are okay. They're much worse for their rate than Brownscale is. I think one of them is Dredge 3, which you could argue is makes that one more powerful in the deck. But I thought a creature at a decent rate that does something when it's in the graveyard or we're using it, its dredge ability would be more worth it. So this is gaining us 2 life when we bring it back from the graveyard to our hand, gives us a little bit of utility on the board. And then lastly, Evolution Witness is a throwback to Eternal Witness, which is just a 3-mana creature that gets you a permanent from your graveyard to your hand. So this allows us to recur anything that we don't want in our graveyard that was put there, like Rancor, for example, at any time we want, because we don't have to adapt when we play it. We can just let it sit on the battlefield and then adapt when that card enters the graveyard. And when it does so, it gets a little bit bigger as well. Lastly, our few instants. Origin of Metal Bending is just a really good card. It's modal, gives us the option to remove something that could be pesky, or like something like Lignify if it's put on our diamond weapon, or if we're playing against a white player, like a pacifism or something like that. That we're kind of stuck with diamond weapon being useless on the board. We need to make sure that those permanent those cards can be dealt with. So having this be both, even though it's a non-permanent, having this help us with that, or protect our diamond weapon from being removed, giving it indestructible. Both of those are great at making sure our diamond weapon is protected. Tamiyo's Safekeeping, similarly, we can make sure to give diamond weapon hexproof and indestructible, as well as gaining 2 life at instant speed. Snakeskin Veil, very similar, giving it hexproof and an extra counter. To make sure our game plan is protected, and even if it's 2 mana to cast, we want to make sure it stays on the battlefield. So these things help us with that. Fog, Commander is a fog meta. Everyone plays creatures. Creatures are super strong. I'm attacking with diamond weapon all the time, so I might not have creatures to block, or if I run out of my smaller creatures, or I don't want to block with some of my creatures, if I only have some of these elves on the board, then fog will just come in to make sure I don't die later in the game, or stop a creature from dealing combat damage to me if it has a particularly good effect. Fogs are just super strong, so we want to run at least the best one right there. So that's the deck thus far, which makes up about 79 cards, including our lands. We have some utility ones, but they're mostly for drawing cards or getting some value if they're in our hand and we have plenty of them. We've got a ton of ways to get lands from our graveyard with these creatures that mill, and our ramp package is very large, so we're not worried about not having enough lands. Like sacrificing a land with, for example, with Hunter's Mage to draw a card is going to be something that won't affect our game plan at all. Similarly with Hidden Nursery is really strong later in the game if we've got nothing to do. Sacrificing this to get us a card for free will be very worth it without worrying about losing mana. Cycling cards as well. If we're drawing a land later in the game, we want to get rid of it when we already have a ton of mana on the battlefield. Cycling will help us do that. And if these hit the graveyard when they're milled anyway, it's not going to bother us. We're not losing any value that's a permanent, right? So that's what we want to happen. Okay, so onto the maybe board. I think the first thing we're going to want to do is cut. There's some cards that could fit, but we don't know quite yet. Even though we have an idea of what the deck is and where we want our game plan to be, and some of them might fit into that, well, we want to just squeeze the maybe board down as much as possible. So let's go through some of them. Bequeathal. That's such a weird name. It's an aura, so it's a permanent that if it's milled, it's not going to bother us. If enchanted creature is put into any graveyard, draw 2 card. Into any graveyard. So you could enchant any creature. It doesn't have to be our own. If we know our opponent is going to sacrifice something, or we could put it onto an opponent's creature and then force that creature or that opponent to use that creature to block diamond weapon and it dies, then we're drawing 2 cards for 1 mana. And because it's a permanent, when it goes into the graveyard, it's going to make sure that diamond weapon is cheap. That's pretty good. It's pretty convincing. It's also kind of a fun card for that play pattern. I like it, but we'll come back to it. Blossoming Wreath. A non-permanent, but gaining life equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard sounds pretty strong for 1 mana. We have a decent number of creatures already. Let's see if I change the categories, or the grouping, excuse me, so that we can see the type. Yeah, we've got 17 creatures right now, and we'll have quite a few more as we go through this. So, and we're milling a lot, so we're going to see a lot of creatures. I mean, this gaining like 10 life in a game would be really, really strong for 1 mana. That's like an extra turn. But it's a non-permanent, that's a little iffier. Caustic Caterpillar. This is a pretty easy inclusion. I mean, it's removal that can be removed, which is a little tough, even accidentally. So, but it could also be a blocker. It's a permanent that can sit on the battlefield, and we could use it when we need to. And artifacts and enchantments are important to remove when our game plan is a creature. I think this is worth including immediately. I think we're going to find a place. Where did that go? I think we're going to find a place. Do you do auto? Yes, okay. We're going to find a use for that, I mean, in the game. Okay, charge through. I mean, Trample's very strong on Diamond Weapon. 1 turn could be useful enough, whether it be commander damage or later in the game. And it allows us to draw a card, so it's kind of like a cantrip, which basically just means that it helps us get through our deck. It's like a free spell almost. It's not bad, but it doesn't give us a ton of value, so that would be a late inclusion anyway. Let's move on from that. 1 mana, 1/1 target creature gains trample. Yeah, so this is a bit better than charge through. They have very similar effects. I mean, drawing a card is very good. We don't have a ton of card draw at the moment, so cycling through a card that gives us a little bit of value is nice. But this is a permanent. Elvish Shredder is a permanent. It's repeatable instead of it just being 1 turn, so that could be worthwhile. I think if we were to include one of these, it would probably be the Herder. Even though it's a big mana sink, but it's worth it if we need it. So I think I'm going to get rid of charge through here. Grand Pulse Oku. I don't know Final Fantasy well. 1 mana, 1/1 Death Touch. Trades very, very well. Very good defensive card when we're attacking with Diamond Weapon. And 8 mana is a lot, but until end of turn, this creature gets +1/+1 for each permanent in your graveyard, which we know we want a ton of. So this could be a huge beater in the very late game to close things out. That sounds pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. That sounds pretty good. I think it could be a cut if need be. But for now, I think it's a good inclusion. I guess I gotta do this auto category up there. Scythe Tiger. This card is so interesting. I saw this and I was like, I have to put it in the maybe word. 1 mana for 3/2, amazing rate with Shroud, so it's got a little bit of protection. And when it enters, you have to sacrifice a land. So that's normally a huge downside. But we're gonna have a lot of mana over the course of the game. We also might not need a lot of mana in the mid game with Diamond Weapon being reduced, having a reduced cost, or cards being efficiently costed. So it couldn't hurt us too bad. Plus it puts a permanent in our graveyard. And it's not a bad creature. Like this on turn 1 isn't amazing. We don't really want that. In a 1v1 format maybe, it wouldn't be super horrible, but so I guess this would be a later game card. But would we want to play this on turn 5? Sack a land. Doesn't really hurt us too bad. We get a 3/2. We would do something else in addition to it. But if we draw this, if we're like top decking and we draw a Scythe Tiger, are we going to be very happy? I mean, at best it could trade with something. We have four opponents. Or three opponents, excuse me. Trading in the late game would mean we're very desperate, which means we're not winning. And this isn't going to help us get there, so I think it's going to be a no, even though it's very cool. Wayfarer's Bauble probably should replace one of the elves. It's a permanent land, so it's no risk of being removed. It's not very, it could be, I mean, it's an artifact, it could be removed, it's just much less likely for that to happen. And it goes into our graveyard as a permanent. Yeah, it's pretty, that's pretty good. And I guess if we have one of our non-basics here, this one of like the Hunter's Maze or Hidden Nursery that we want on the battlefield in the later game, we could get it. Oh no, it's a basic. Never mind. Are there any land-specific artifact ones in common? Probably not. But even with a basic, it's probably better than an elf to play on turn 1, even if it's not ramping us on turn 2. Like our turn 2s won't be as explosive with this as they would with a Llanowar Elves. But going turn 1, Wayfarer's Bauble, turn 1, Crack the Bauble, would get us 4 mana on turn 3. It's not amazing. It's not amazing. We'll come back to this. It's probably worth it, but it would be a late inclusion, I think. Basking Capybara. What? Oh, that's such a cute art. Let's see, are there any cute printings? Nope. It's a common. What am I thinking? So Descend 4 cares about us having cards in our graveyard. So it gets +3 attack as long as there are 4 or more permanent cards in our graveyard, which that should be extremely easy to get. But even at that, a 2 mana 4/3, amazing rate. 2 mana 4/3, even with the good rate, we're not a wide strategy. We're a little bit more value oriented, focusing on Diamond Weapon. I could see a similar deck including this card if they wanted like creatures with power 4 or greater, which we don't really have any synergies that specify that right now. So I think this is a cut. It doesn't do much more than just sit on the battlefield for us. Bestial Bloodline, 2 mana aura, gets +2/+2. I mean, that's pretty weak on its own, even at a permanent, but it can be returned from the graveyard to my hand for 5 mana, which is very expensive. What I like about this is if it gets milled, then I can do something with it later in the game, which is really sick. Effects like that I think are going to be really useful. Even if it's not super strong on its own, I think if it's inclusion, it'd be a late inclusion. I guess a lot of these maybe board cards are. Compelled Duel, non-permanent, +3/+3 is a big bonus. Must be blocked this turn if able. It's kind of like removal. I don't know, I don't feel great about this card. Let's keep moving on. Dusk Shell Crawler, 2 mana 0/3, enters, put a counter on a creature, and creatures with counters have trample. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty interesting. There are a few ways to get counters that I already have. Origin of Metal Bending, Snakeskin Veil, Evolutionary Witness puts counters on itself. I don't think any of the ramp does stuff like that. I think some of these creatures, this gets a counter, this gets a counter. Not that a 2/2 or trample is particularly strong. Obviously we would give this to Diamond Weapon if we could. It's pretty low rate with a big body, or, toughness wise. I think this is probably worth it. We could always cut it later if it's not striking our fancy. 2 mana, or give a creature trample, create 2 1/1s. It gives us 2 bodies. Also permanent. Trample is really strong for a Diamond Weapon. which is what we want. Um, I actually really like this. I like this for the bodies that it gives us, especially for blockers. If we only have, like, I could picture a world where we just ramped. We have maybe one other creature on the battlefield that either milled or is an elf or something. And we play diamond weapon. Next turn we do this. We attack with the weapon. Get through a good amount of damage that probably didn't block if it's early in the game. Um, with trample. And then we have two bodies for blockers or to do something later. It's pretty cool. I actually like that, even though it's an aura. I do kind of like that, so let's just keep it in there. Fog Patch. 2 mana, play it only during the declare blocker step, and attacking creatures become blocked. Okay, so it's very similar to Fog. It has a slightly weirder effect, but essentially does the same thing. Another Fog. Fogs are very strong. It's a non-permanent. I don't know how much we'll need the fog. I don't know if this is really a control-y deck, even though it's a little bit of a toolbox. Um, it could be worth another inclusion, especially against wider boards, where even if we're giving Diamond Weapon Vigilance somehow, or we don't attack with it to block, or we have a few blockers, but that aren't good for trading. This could make sure that we could be aggressive later in the game, even when we're not great on defense. Yeah, I think I convinced myself. Oh, what's happening here? Fog patch. Can I drag it? What the hell is going on? Click. Oh, maybe it's because things are highlighted. Click, drag. Yeah, nice. Fork in the Road. I love this card so much. It's so simple, but it's so great for graveyard strategies, especially those that involve lands at all. You get two, search your library for 2 basics, put one in your hand and one in your graveyard. 2 mana. It's not a permanent itself, but playing it, instead of milling it, kind of makes it a permanent because we get a permanent in our graveyard. I do like that. It's not ramp because it's putting the card in our hand, but it does allow us to make sure that we're hitting land drops. We have a lot of creatures that help us do that anyway. This would be a pretty late inclusion, I think. Guy's Gift, similar function as Snakeskin Veil and Tamiya Safekeeping. It's a counter which synergizes with the Duskshell Crawler. It gives Reach, Trample, Hexproof, and Indestructible at instant speed. So we could either be very aggressive with it, or defensive. Protecting Diamond Weapon is super important. Yeah, I like that. Let's put it in the deck. Night Soil. 2 mana enchantment, pay 1, exile 2 creature cards from a single graveyard, and put a 1/1 sapperling onto the battlefield. This is very toolboxy. I like it because it doesn't just have to be my graveyard. It could be an opponent's graveyard, but I'm very likely to have creatures in my graveyard to be able to do this with. It's not like if I had more sacrifice synergies, even though it's 2 green, if I was running black in addition to this, or in this deck, which I can't, but if I had a commander that wanted stuff like this, yeah, this would be a great inclusion. I don't know why I'm speaking in hypotheticals here, but it allows us to do stuff later in the game or surprise our opponent with a blocker, which is all cool. It's also just a fun card. Getting rid of permanents in our graveyard could be a problem, but if we're well over the necessary amount needed anyway to reduce Diamond Weapon, or Diamond Weapon doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon, or we have other ways to mill cards, we just haven't played them yet. All of it could be a worthwhile inclusion. Plus, it's a permanent itself. So let's try it out, see how that goes. Obsessive Skinner. 2 mana 1/1. When it enters, put a counter on a creature. And Delirium, which wants us to have uh, 4 permanents of different types in our graveyard. And at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if we have 4 or more card types among cards in our graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Wow, that's actually pretty strong for Pauper. Every upkeep, you could put a counter on something. Now, Delirium will be a little bit harder to turn online than Threshold will be. Having just seven cards of any type, all lands, all creatures, whatever, is a little bit more reliable than needing a land, a creature, an instant, a sorcery, an artifact, multiple types. Especially because we don't really want non-permanents, and creature, land, enchantment, and artifact. There are only 4 permanents that we could really use. It's pretty unlikely to hit. I think this is a card you gotta play with because it's very strong. And if it doesn't work, wait, why is it saying they're both uncommon? No, that makes sense. But why is it like this? I know why. This is an arena card. But it says remastered, so... Okay, let's see if we can look this up. Obsessive Skinner. It's not legal in Pauper. Okay. Dang, that's too bad. That is too bad. This was a great card. Okay, well. More room for other cards. 2 provokes. I don't know why that's there. Prize fight. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Removal is pretty necessary. At instant speed, it's important. With Diamond Weapon, though, it's not indestructible. It just prevents combat damage that would be dealt to it. And this is not combat damage, because it's not damage dealt through combat. It does create a treasure token, so it's kind of similar to crawl. What is it called? Malevolent Rumble. That in the mid game, because this isn't an early game card like Malevolent Rumble is, we could remove a thing and then create a treasure token, allowing us to play a more cards next turn or a bigger card. I don't know if it's the best. If it's the best removal we've got in here, we'll come back and put it in there. Now, provoke, I would consider to be removal, even though it's kind of conditional on us having our commander here. But untap target creature you don't control. That creature blocks this turn if able. So we're forcing one of our opponent's creatures to block Diamond Weapon, which does mean we're not getting damage through unless we give it trample, which we want. It does provoke draws as a card, so it replaces itself, which makes it a less risky inclusion. It's pretty fun. I'm going to try it out and see how that goes. Ram through, fantastic green removal, which is sad to say, but it is pretty cool. 2 mana instant speed. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power, so it does not have to fight. And then if that creature you control has trample, then and it deals excess damage, then that damage is dealt to its controller. So for example, if we give Diamond Weapon trample and then have it deal 8 damage to an opponent's creature that has 4 toughness, then it'll deal 4 excess damage. 8 minus 4 is 4. And that excess damage will be dealt to that creature's controller. So it's a little bit of burn too, a little bit of damage on top of removal, which is really nice, but it is dependent on it having trample, which as we look through other cards, we'll hopefully pick out a few more, but there aren't many that we have right now that give it trample. Dragon Fang's incredible, and Rancor both will reliably do it, but it's only 2 cards, so the likelihood of getting it is small right now. Fist of the Ironwood is good. Duskshell Crawler, it's 4. We have this equipment that gives it a few keywords that we want as well. It's pretty reasonable, but let's see what else we've got first. Like Prize Fight, we'll come back to it. Cetizen Training. An aura that draws a card, so it replaces itself. It's a permanent, so if we mill it, it's not a problem. And it gives the creature an extra attack and trample. It's pretty strong. We want more trample. Replacing itself is good, so it doesn't feel as bad for it to be a less valuable inclusion. Like, it doesn't do too much on the battlefield, even though it does things that we want it to do. So the fact that it draws a card is really kind of necessary for it to be playable. Got 13 spots left and a lot of cards to go through, though. Let's move on here. Whenever a land is put into your graveyard, anywhere you gain 1 life. It's to sit on the battlefield. It's 2 permanent, types 2 for Delirium. Sitting on the battlefield, it'll gain us a few life in a game. That might be worth it. We don't want to get rid of it. +1/+1 and trample, and return this from your graveyard to your hand. So this feels a little better than Cetizen Training. It might not be, but milling this, allowing us to get it back, that's a little bit more reliable than the training is. Grasp, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt this turn by creatures without trample. So that could be one-sided, which would be kind of very incredible during a combat. But if we give Diamond Weapon trample and we're attacking in, do we need this? Not really. We're preventing all damage that would be combat damage that would be dealt to it anyway. And if our opponent has a creature with trample, do we want to use this? It's not as good as normal fuck. It's less consistent. Werebear. This is such a cool card. 2 mana, it's a mana dork. 1/1 that adds a green threshold, gets +3/+3. So earlier in the game, it's just a good little creature that gives us some mana, and then later it becomes a 2 mana 4/4, which is a great rate. So it's got a little bit of a mode on it. I think it's more valuable than one of these elves, but 2 mana versus 1 mana is extremely different. I mean, 1 mana is twice as good as this is, but it's still a fun card. I think this would be a late inclusion if we do include it. Winding Way. Choose creature or land, reveal the top 4 cards, put all of the chosen type revealed this way into your hand, rest into your graveyard. That's really good, actually. Yeah, because if this gets me 2 cards, that's 2, draw 2, mill 2, that's like amazing for this deck. I think that's worth it being a non-permanent. Advocate of the Beast. 3 mana, 2/3. At the beginning of your end step, put a counter on target beast. Oh, that's right, I forgot to put these in here. There are a few beast synergy cards at common that are really strong. This one is pretty good. There's, whenever a beast enters, you draw a card. There's 2 of those, which is like unbelievably strong. I think that's why I had this up here, looking at all the uncommon beasts, some of which are pretty good. I don't know that I'll need room though. I mean, I only have 11 cards left, and I like what I've got so far. So, I mean, one of these ramp pieces could probably go, but we want a little bit more mill. This is probably not the right card for this deck, but it is a strong card. Cartouche of Strength does things that we want, but it's not as good as Cetizen Training because it doesn't replace itself. Like, yeah, it fights, you get to fight something, and it gives trample, but at 3 mana, it's not amazing. I think we're going to have to say bye to that. Champion of Dusan, 3 mana for 4/2 trample, decent, and then pay 2, exile it from a graveyard to put a 1/1 counter and a trample counter on target creature, which is a permanent trample, as long as it's on the battlefield. That's great. If we mill this, we want this really bad. If we play it, okay, 4-2 trample, likely trade it with something, maybe deal a little bit of damage, and then we can use that ability again later in the game. Great creature for this deck. Curse of the Werefox. 3 mana, create a monster roll token attached to target creature. It just gives +1/+1 in trample, and then when you do that, that creature fights to one other target creature you don't control. This is good removal. It's not great removal. I guess the +1/+1's trample is nice. It's basically the same as Cartouche's Strength, though. And that card wasn't amazing, but at least it was a permanent, and this is not. So goodbye. Cycle of Renewal. This is very similar to Hero, in that at instant speed we could sack a land and get 2 basics, but they enter tapped, which is much worse. Redundancy is nice. I don't know if we need it. It might be better than some of the other ramp, but it's not a permanent, so like it could beat out Far Wanderings, excuse me, or Moss Diamond. It probably does, but we'll check back. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains Vigilance, and it deals damage equal to its power, so it doesn't have to fight. This is kind of awesome. It's a little pricey, but being able to destroy something, targeting our diamond weapon with this, gives it extra power, and then we can destroy an opponent's creature, and then we can attack with it and it won't tap, so we can leave it up to block. That saves us probably a good amount of damage in the game. I actually really like this. Non-permanent is tough, and we're getting up there with them. I don't think we want too many more non-permanents for the deck. Fully Grown, a good buff, Trample Counter. It's kind of worse than Cartouche, though. We got rid of that, so. Not to the bone. Gain 2 life for each creature card in your graveyard, and it has Flashback. Similar to Blossoming Wreath, this is way cheaper at only 1 mana. But if we mill it, there's nothing we can do about it. This gains double the life, and we can do something with it if we mill it. I think that value is worth it, especially because we're not going to want to play this early in the game anyway, so I think we're going to have to get rid of that. Presence of the Ages, 3 mana, reveal 4, put a creature and or a land from among them into your hand, resting to your graveyard. 3 mana, instant speed, draw 2. Put 2 in your yard is really good. I'm worried though that we're getting too many non-permanents. Provoke is fun. I mean, I think this card is good. We're spoiling a lot. I think this card is good. Let's come back to it though. Jewel Thief, good creature. Good abilities, Vigilance, Trample. It gets counters really well. Creates a treasure token. Not really a part of our game plan, in that we're not trying to go wide. We don't want a lot of creatures. We don't need a lot of creatures, because we have our best one is in our command zone. All of the other creatures we have, like they kind of do something for us or benefit that game plan. This is maybe the only one that is tangential to it rather than parallel to it, but I still think it's a little bit stronger than Jewel Thief, so I think it's a great creature, but I think it's gonna have to go. Let's see, 3 mana, 1/2, untap a land, threshold, untap 3. Creature, so it's permanent. 3 mana to untap a land is a little pricey. It doesn't block well, but it is more synergistic than something like Arbor Elf. We might come back to the same thing with Landwehr Visionary. I wonder if, even though they're a little bit more expensive, the creatures that ramp and do other things, so like Werebear as well, are kind of, I don't know, they feel better than the, they just look nicer than these, than the 1 mana dudes. But having 1 mana, like playing a Landwehr Elves on turn 1 is so strong. It's kind of worth it being a little vulnerable and not doing much else, whereas these more expensive cards kind of have to do more for them to be worth it. Navigation Orb is similar to Wayfarer's Bauble. It gives us 2 lands, but for 2 more mana. I mean, we don't really want to be playing this on turn 3. If we are, it's a slow start. It goes into the same category, so. Pilgrimage is basically just, oh my god, Cultivate. Forgot the name for a second. But we don't want them. I think this is a pass. Fireword Sage, this Beast thing, we'll have to pass on these. Also Beasts, really good cards though. Elder's pretty good, it gets us 2 basics, draws us a card, it's a permanent. This is the kind of creature we want in the deck, I think. Enters with a counter on it, where X is greatest power among creatures you control, so this would be a 4 mana 8/8. That's pretty crazy. It's just a vanilla creature, but it's big enough that might be good enough. 4 mana. Oh, okay, this is interesting. So with the adventure part, that little box here would allow us to play this for 2 mana at instant speed, to put a monster roll which gives +1/+1 and trample onto a creature. And then later we can cast the creature half of this card, this Ferocious Werefox, for 4 mana. It's a 4/3 with trample. So it's like an aura and a creature, and it counts as a permanent in our graveyard. I like that. There might be some stronger picks, but that's up there. Let's put it in the deck. Oh, if I'd like to put it in the deck. There we go. We may toss it later. This is another beast card. This is a classic Pauper card here. Equal to the greatest number of creature cards in all graveyards. So this could be a lot larger than an 8/8, and because they're counters, it'll have trample. These are very similar, these two, very similar. This one is a little bit more reliable. This one has a higher ceiling. Target creature with power 5 or greater gains vigilance. 5 mana for that. I think that's a little too much. 5 mana 5/5 gets +10/+10 as long as you control 10 or more lands. That's pretty likely. I got a lot of ramp and land recursion to make sure I hit my land drops. 15/15 with trample is probably the biggest creature in Pauper. That might be worth it. That's probably maybe even better than these two, even at 1 more mana. Excavating Anerid. Sacrifice a land if you do draw a card. As long as there are 7 or more land cards in your graveyard, it gets +1/+1 and vigilance. 5 mana 5/5 vigilance. Sack land, so that's putting a permanent in our graveyard, and it draws us a card. Play this later in the game anyway. That seems pretty good. I quite like that. I quite like that. I'll come back. Actually, I'm gonna put it in the deck, and we might toss it later. 5 mana, 5/4. Trample. When it attacks, put a counter on target creature. Not. I don't think that's good enough. The counters are nice, but I don't think it's good enough. Target creature with power 5 or greater gains trample. Yeah, this is probably a toss. 5 mana, 4/2. All creatures able to block this creature do so. The clash thing kind of doesn't matter. It's a pretty good effect. It'll guarantee that our diamond weapon will get through, which is cool, but it's a little slow. Opponents can see it coming. I don't know how much they'll be able to do about it, though. Interesting. I won't cut it, but I think it's probably a cut. 5 mana, 5/3. Other creatures have trample. I like that because it's unconditional. Permanent also has trample. We have a decent number of creatures. Not super huge, any of them, but our commander is. Come back to it, Owlbear. 5 mana, 4/4 trample, draws a card when it enters. That's so solid. But it's just generically good. It's not necessarily synergistic. Playing this in the deck won't hurt because of how generically good it is. But it's not necessarily helping with our game plan either. We're at 94. We're probably not going to have slots that make me want to play this. Alright, bye-bye. Tales of Master Seshiro. 5 mana, put a counter on target creature, gains vigilance until end of turn. We do that twice, and then we can flip it into a vigilance haste. That's a lot of value. Generically powerful, though. It's kind of similar to Owlbear. Drawing a card is very strong, even though it doesn't do nearly as much. Tarantula. 6 mana, 6/5. I only have one desert, so probably won't. That ability won't matter. Reach becomes a target of a spell or an ability opponent controls. I may draw a card. Is this better than Owlbear? 6 mana, 6/5 versus 5 mana, 4/4. It says reach over trample. Drawing is conditional, though. This is a nice card to ramp into. More so than this. Maybe. Colossal Dread Mask. 6 mana, living weapon. Equipped creature gets +6/+6 and has trample. Living weapon ability makes a 0/0 token and attaches this to it. 6 mana, 6/6 with trample. Okay. It's not bad. I mean, it's a big in Pauper. Being able to deal damage with it, block with it, trade with it, force your opponent to remove it. Then for 5 mana, put it on a diamond weapon, making it a 14/14 with trample is pretty strong. It's very mana intensive, which is why some of these cheaper trample effects are better. But this is like a game ender. It sticks on the battlefield. It's hard to remove. Doesn't go away when the creature dies. I like that a lot. Better than some creatures. Fangrein Marauder. This is such a classic Pauper card, but it's just not going to fit the deck. Hooting Mandrill's similar. Very cheap creature to play with Delve, allowing me to exile cards from my graveyard to cast it for cheaper, which I'll have plenty of, but doing so does make the cost reduction less significant. Um, it's very good. I mean, would I not play a oh, I forget what the black version of this card is called. I probably would play that card. This card is not as good as that one. Hmm. This is a late inclusion, I think. Which is probably going to be a no. When this card enters, target creature gains vigilance and gets +X/+X, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard, and this creature can't be blocked by more than one creature. It's pretty solid. I mean, if I give +5/+5 to my diamond weapon with vigilance, I mean, it can be chump blocked. Chump blocked by a creature which would hurt. But if it has trample, it's a huge upside. I don't know, it's kind of too many ifs to be that expensive. Annoyed Altosaur, 7 mana, 6/5, reach and trample, and cascade, which allows me to exile cards from the top of my library until I exile a non-land card that costs less. And then I can cast that card without paying its mana cost. This is 2 cards, which is pretty strong. It kind of draws me a card, but it does something even better than that. So great thing to ramp into. Good keywords. I do like it. Bramble Worm, 7 mana, 7/6, reach trample. When it enters, gain 5 life. You can pay 3 to exile it from the graveyard to gain 5 life. Something to do if you mill it. I like that too. What I'm seeing is there are a good amount of creatures left that are on the higher end that are strong, and we want some of those. We want, to rely on, to be able to have cards beside Diamond Weapon that will close us the game, even though, you could argue that building the deck in a way that doesn't make that, like that, in which Diamond Weapon being the only way to close the game could be fine, if the deck building is good enough, then that's all we need. And I don't disagree. This is more or less my intention with the deck. I think Hunting Mandrills. I see this card as something we would play in if we don't think we're going to get to Diamond Weapon early enough. Like if we draw this early in the game, we've milled a few cards, we've ramped a little bit, we could play this for 1 and something else. To make a really strong turn early. It would put us behind playing Diamond Weapon pretty significantly. In that case, later in the game, it hurts much less. 4 mana, 4/4 trample, not great later in the game. And if we don't have ways to mill later, then yeah, I think that's a cut. It's just not good enough. At all angles. Yeah, some of these cards are fine, but not amazing. What I want to let's go back to the deck a little bit, and reformat some things. So these are generic creatures that do a few things for us. I don't know if this would count as a ramp. It is technically, but it's pretty slow. It's a lot. I mean, it's good value, but it's pretty slow. This could be better than Far Wanderings. It's more expensive, but it's a permanent. And it still gets us 3 cards. 2 lands and 1 card. Versus 3 basics. I like Far Wanderings a lot. But it doesn't fill our graveyard. And the Elder can sack itself, which fills our graveyard. I mean, I guess for permanents, we want more permanents. Hmm. Yeah, I think we need more mill. I don't think we added anything that milled us, which would kind of be a problem. I mean, we have an okay amount of mill, but we really want to mill stuff like really badly, um, fast in the game. I don't think there's any one mana way to do that. I'd hate to add more non-creature mill or non-permanent mill. Let's look something up. Let's do. Oops, what did I just do? Let's do. What's the wording on the ancients? Where was that? In the presence of ages. Because this doesn't say mill like our other cards. You reveal the top 4 cards of our library. You may put a creature or land card. And put the rest into your graveyard. Let's see what we find here. Okay, 12 cards. Not terrible. Got some of them already. Winding Way. Tapping on the window, 2 mana sorcery. Look at the top 3. Reveal a creature. Put in hand the rest in the graveyard. It's not amazing, but it has flashback. So if we milled this, we could still get its effect. Which would be pretty good. That's pretty good. Reveal top 5. Put a creature or land in the rest. That's 4 cards. That's very strong. But if this is milled, it's pretty bad. Real top 4. Put all lands. Do you hear the rest into your graveyard? Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Relentless Pursuit is very similar to that Ages card. Right here. This is creature or land. This is creature or land. And or land. Benefaction of Ronus. Reveal the top 5. Put a creature card and or an enchantment card into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. I kind of like that little enchantment aspect to it because we have a few good auras that we'd want to see. And Night Soil, which kind of coming down on that card a little bit. Are there any other enchantments? I don't think there are. Oh yeah, I guess Utopia Sprawl, Wild Growth count. No mill enchantments. That's interesting. That is interesting. I think I'm gonna put I've been getting the creature mill 3. This is 5. Creature and or. I think I'm gonna do the Benefaction of Ronus. I'm going to do the tapping on the window because I like the flashback. That puts us at 96. Okay, so that's done a bit for us. I don't think I want to do much. It's still more non-permanent stuff. I'm gonna have to do some cuts here. I want to look at the rest into your graveyard. Maybe just not the rest, but into. Gets a few more. That's powerful, but the creature is pretty bad. Fork in the road. Reveal top 6 cards. Put up to 3 enchantments to your hand and the rest into your graveyard. That might be overkill. And there's a good chance we will miss with this, which would be pretty bad. I guess this is repeatable mill. That might be worth it. Where is that creature? Okay, I think this is as much graveyard stuff as we'll be able to get. Yeah, I'll put this in the mill category. I think we're gonna want to put. Trying to find them. Sorceries. Should put us to 16. That's not bad. I think that's fine. I don't think we need any more than that. 97. Cards I remember well and liked a lot were something like Nod to the Bone. The flashback could be nice, give us another turn. I do like Werebear, but I don't know if we want that. Another fight spell. I kind of like Bequeathal. Again, such a weird name, but enchant creature. When it's put into any graveyard, draw 2 cards. Putting it on an opponent's creature is pretty cool. That creature never goes away. I mean, they're just like, okay, I'll just never use this creature again. It's a dead card, that sucks. We have a few ways to kill it, but then we're spending 2 cards to get 2 cards and remove one of our opponent's cards. And we'd need a creature that's bigger than the creature that we enchant to do so. Yeah, it's not amazing. We don't sacrifice our own creatures. Like if we had a decent number of stuff, like I don't know, 10 things that sacrificed creatures, and a decent number of creatures to be sacrificed or tokens that we made or something like that, then it'd be great. That'd be great. It'd be a 1-mana draw too. A Village Rites or something like that. I mean, it's cool that we can enchant an opponent's thing, but I don't even know if that makes it any more reliable. I don't think it does. I think this is what we're going to do. I think we're going to put that life card in here. I know it seems like, oh, just gaining life isn't the best, but with flashback later in the game, we've got a lot of creatures in there. That could be another turn. And just to make sure, we've got 25 creatures. 11 instances is more than I want. 10 sorceries, yeah, that's a lot more than I want. But good number of creatures. Probably add 2 more here. I do kind of want one more piece of removal. I know, it's like, oh, I have too many instants. Let me add an instant. But nonetheless, kind of necessary. I don't think forking the road does enough. It's not bad, but it doesn't do enough. Same thing with compelled duel. It's cool, but you can't force what creature blocks. And we don't really care about the bonus. There's two pieces of removal in our instance. You know, forcing creatures to block is kind of removal, but it's not guaranteed. We don't get to choose. Lignify counts. No creatures do stuff like that for us. And I mean creature removal here. We've got a few artifacts and enchantments, which is good. Yeah, I mean, I want more. We've got such a giant commander for very cheap. Oop. It's not supported by this group. What group is against me? Let's just add it to our instance. Do something like that. I think I might choose prize fight as well. Honestly, creating a treasure might not be as good as giving it a counter. I think there's an instant speed fight spell that puts a counter on a creature and then they fight. That might be better. Doing this early is okay, but if the counter gives us trample, that could be really worth it. Maybe that's too specific. The treasure's generically better. Yeah, I think it's probably generically better. I'm just going through one more time. I mean, I like a lot of these cards, but I think from here on out, I mean, Crash for the Rhino Beetles is stroking my Timmy senses. Same thing with these two. I love these. These cards seem really strong. But not as valuable when we've got Mr. Diamond Weapon at our disposal anytime we want. Alright, so that'd be 100 cards. I'm not a pirate, that'd be 100 cards. Oh, hey, Jordan. You're still here. Hello, I made it. I love you too. I mean, I don't get a notification. I mean, that would be kind of nice. With with only you or whatever in the chat, but I guess if you have a ton of people, that wouldn't really work. I'm glad you came back. I hope you're having fun. Yeah, that would bring us to 100 cards. I think some things need to be cut, though. I think we have too many instants, too many sorceries. I don't know, I mean, all the sorceries are strong, but there may be too many of them. What would I cut? Maybe I have too many creatures, and I'm crazy. But, milling permanents is really important, and our creatures do a bunch of stuff. Like, having 23 non-permanents is a tough sell. Like, a quarter of our deck. So that would mean 25% of the time we're milling a card. A little less than 25%, but we're that card is not a permanent. I think that might be too great. Too great a cost. So let's look at some things here. I think I don't think getting rid of Nature's Lore in 3 visits is the solution. It could be, but those cards are strong. It's like, I'm gonna draw a lot of lands. I'm gonna pick lands out of my graveyard. I'm not gonna miss any land drops. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna be ramping. Ramping is just important. It's so important for the early game that I don't really want to lose that consistency. I don't really think I have too many mill cards though. Like, I really want stuff to be down there. Maybe I want it too bad. Maybe Diamond Weapon, it's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Let's do some searching. Let's see how much involves our graveyard. Okay, a lot. Very many things. Threshold, mills, dredge, mills, pull stuff from our graveyard, mill, gives counters, mill, cares about lands being in the graveyard, mill. This is like, I don't know, maybe I'm too hot on this card, but I think it's good. Strong. What are more creature cards are put? Create an insect into your graveyard from anywhere, so it doesn't have to mill, but this is repeatable mill, which is really good. I can return this, and it gives trample. Exiling creatures, these return, give trample. Graveyard, mill stuff. Maybe I get rid of Night Soil. It's a cool card. It gives me some value. I don't have a use for those creatures. That might be the biggest reason why I should get rid of this. And exiling it's not anti-synergy so much, like it gives me a use for all the cards that might be down there. But I think I might rather a card that cares about the number of creatures down there than that gets rid of them for something that I can't really use, which is too bad. I might just put it back in the maybe board rather than cut it. Not to be considered again, but after testing to see if, maybe something like that actually is useful. That was a permanent though. I think anything that says 5 is pretty good. Far Wanderings. I'm questioning this card. Maybe I should just get rid of it. Without Threshold, like, this isn't a card I'm gonna want to play early. Maybe that means it's not useful anymore. Like, I don't. if I had black, the color black in this deck, I think this would be a lot better because you'd be able to reach threshold much earlier. Um, or like a turn or two earlier, which I think is very significant. I don't think that would make this card that much better because it would still it wouldn't make this an earlier, or how can I put this? Like this would still be a mid to late game ramp piece. And I don't really have a ton of high mana cards. Like I'm not looking to ramp early, do something, and then ramp late. I'm really not. So, but I'll do the same thing as I did for the other card and put it in the maybe board because maybe I do want to ramp late. I just don't know that yet. I like tapping on the window for its flashback. If I mill it, I can still do something with it. I can still mill more. Maybe I'm not drawing a lot of mill stuff earlier in the game, but this hits the yard and I can use it. It's only 2, which isn't a lot, but it should draw me a card with the number of creatures I have. Or at least it draws me one, just over 25% of the time, something like that. Well, I guess time, multiply that by 3. I don't know what that would be in the top of my head. Something like 50, just under 50%. Let's see. So that's a good amount of graveyard stuff. I don't really want to get rid of these, so let's see trample. How many cards help me give my commander trample? Guy's Gift doesn't really count. It's really a protection card. I could see if there are better ones. I doubt it. Let's see. Let's look up hexproof first. Yeah, so far, Guy's Gift is pretty strong. Let's see, because a lot of these are, all of these are hexproof until end of turn if they're not creatures. Putting it on an enchantment is pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. It enters, gains hexproof until end of turn. It's 1 more mana though. It's 1 more mana. I don't hate it. If there was something similar to this, but was a little bit cheaper, maybe. Like this is 3 mana, gains hexproof until end of turn. It gets a bigger buff, less keywords. Ranger's Guile, it could be, is redundancy for Snakeskin Veil, but it's not. It doesn't get a counter. That's Sheltering Word. Target creature gains hexproof and you gain life equal to its toughness. That's kind of interesting. The 2 mana hurts, but that's kind of interesting. Okay, so Guy's Gift doesn't really have a better version. I really like the auras, but 3 mana is much harder to contend with. Even 2 mana is harder to contend with. It gets a counter and a few other keyword, like hexproof and indestructible is pretty good. That's pretty good. Sheltering Word. That's awesome. I'm gonna put this in the maybe board. If I needed more cards to protect than I think I do, that would probably be the first one I would add. Because I'm doing that, maybe I should add one of the auras. Yeah, I guess this one is actually the only one that does it. Let's see, indestructible. Okay. Reach, trample, indestructible, and untap it. Now that's very interesting. That means I can save this instead of having to play this to get the benefit of. Oh, it doesn't give. Oh, what am I talking about? Sorry, I was going to mention something that wasn't relevant, but the point is I could save this to untap and block with it, protect it from a removal spell, and then incentivize attacks. Is that better than Guy's Gift? I mean, Hexproof most of the time is the same as Indestructible. It might be. It might be better than Guy's Gift. Trample and Indestructible until end of turn. That sounds good. Indestructible. It's too expensive. Okay, yeah, so that was kind of interesting though. I'm not gonna lie. I saw some better stuff than I thought I would. Biosynthetic Burst. Reach, trample, indestructible, untap it. This is reach, trample, hexproof, indestructible. Does it need to be untargetable more than indestructible? Like, is there a case? I guess exiling. That's the only case that I can think of where hexproof is better than indestructible, rather than the same or rather than the same. I think we're gonna try this instead. I like the untapping, in truth. Let's put this in the instant slot. Let's put. Why does it do that? Why does it lie? Let's put this in the maybe board slot. But okay, trample. I mean, not amazing stuff, but some decent stuff. Maybe the ferocious werefox isn't great. It's a creature and an aura that's irrelevant, gives an important type, but yeah, let's put it back in the maybe board. I think I'd rather other things. I mean, I do want, like, ram through doesn't really count. It's not giving trample. I think this Forerunner could be pretty decent. Test and training maybe is better than Ferocious Werefox, maybe it's not. It's kind of hard to tell. Elvish Herder is very interesting. It's repeatable, it's vulnerable, but it can still block or attack. The Tread Mask is pretty awesome. I think it's either the training or the mask right now. Try to make sure our commander has trample. This stays. This replaces itself. Let's try the more efficient card that replaces itself. And if it turns out to not be that good, or we need something bigger, stronger, we could talk about the mask. Oh, here we go. Jordan is calling. Hello.
Why are you still streaming?
Oh my god. That was awesome, guys. That was so good.
There's more to it. It doesn't matter how long since this is the last part.
Oh my gosh. Cool. That's so cool.
I sent you the full thing.
Okay.
I recorded it and I sent it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes! I'll just make them curse us. So we get the box.
Okay, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna go now.
Did you like it?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't performed it. Did you recognize the last part? It sounds familiar.
It's Smash. Smash Brothers.
On our list. We gotta do that soon.
Mm-hmm.
Who's playing?
Oh my god.
Oh.
I hated that piece too, so I don't like that.
Bye.
Okay, see ya.
Say bye.
Bye-bye. No, it took Jordan.
Hey, we're gonna watch the thing. I wish you were here.
Thanks, me too.
How's it going?
Good. Things are going well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just chilling. I was
Oh no, you're
no. No, I was just I was doing something kind of for Jordan, taking a break from work, but I'm gonna head back to work I think here soon. So
Have you used all of your Uber gift card money yet?
no. No, I'm not, luckily. I can save it for important stuff.
Our goal is to have you do one fun thing.
Okay.
I know it's expensive there. Do what you need to do, man, but try to do one fun thing.
Thank
at
you.
some point
I will.
In the next 4 months.
I will. I'll try.
That, aside from your trip to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, alright, that's all.
Okay. You're good.
Bye. Love
See you, Matthew. Love you, man.
Bye, boob.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye, Pam.
See ya.
You're here.
Me too. Thanks, guys.
That's not streaming.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been
I've got a folder.
I've recorded Jordan a video because when we can't hang out, like when then she can watch it.
For me.
So I'm really just doing that again.
I love you.
Okay, I love you too.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Because he just like.
Okay. We just need to add 2 cards. Let's look. 2 permanents. You know what? I might hold on. Oh, there. I was looking for a particular effect, but I couldn't find it. Okay. Now we just need 2 more permanents. I still think we have too many instants here. I think a lot of them will be milled, but that's also not super ideal. How did it go? How did everything go?
Oh, it went good.
Okay, good.
Oh my god, so much nicer. It was a exhaust thing.
Okay.
So apparently there's like a metal sheet
Mm-hmm.
that is on the exhaust pipe or something,
Hmm.
and it was rusted away because of Massachusetts,
Hmm.
Mapleton, Massachusetts.
Hmm.
But it wasn't that expensive,
Okay.
and they fixed it.
Nice.
Yeah, I was really happy.
Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad.
But I should have told them to put headlights in.
Oh, right, because one of your headlights went out.
But I was
Ah.
so scared about the price that I was like,
Yeah.
listen, I will do it myself. Don't even look at it.
Yeah. Good.
But yeah, now I'm gonna do that.
Okay, you're good? Do you need any help or anything?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Everything good here?
Yeah, I've been doing work, but I was recording Jordan another video.
Oh yeah. Is this the game?
This is Magic.
Oh, this is magic.
Yeah, so there's this website that I use. This is how I play on tabletop too. Is you basically, this is a deck, all the cards and stuff. This is like the commander for the deck, and you
You have a lot of cards.
well, it's a commander is a 100 card format. So you have a deck with 100 cards, and you go to export the deck, and it pulls up a text. Yeah, what is it? Oh yeah, a deck list, and you copy that list. And so if I go to like a notes page or something, this is the whole deck list.
Dude, that is so nice.
And so you copy and paste that into Tabletop Simulator, and it sees every single one of these as an object.
Oh.
And so it creates an object for each, and then it puts a like a what is it called? Like an image, basically. There's a specific word for it, like something that wraps around a 3D object onto that object that's the card, right? And there you have it. You have the physical thing that you can move around, and it looks like the card itself.
Dude.
I know it's so sick.
I'm glad you found the sites that like allow that.
Yeah, I mean I've known about these for forever. That I mean, Commander's really popular in Magic, and it's a good idea often if you're like, oh, I want to build this deck around this commander, to look at cards and put it together and see if it works on paper, and it pulls up like a price list. Like if I wanted to buy every single one of these cards in these printings,
Really?
yeah, there's one card. This card is super expensive. I could just change the printing and see it's much cheaper, more accurate.
It's literally that one card.
Yeah, and you could even, if you wanted to, copy that deck list into like a platform. See, these are like what do you call them? Like marketplaces to buy the cards.
Okay.
So you could copy and paste that deck list into that marketplace, and it would pull up every single card in a cart, and then you could just purchase the whole thing.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah, Magic it's got a really hefty community that has a lot of tools for it and stuff like that.
You got a lot of smart people playing it.
It's
They all
yeah,
wanna
it's
do
true.
stuff,
It's true. It's true.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Okay. Let me know if you need anything.
Alright, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, let's close this out here. We definitely have too many instants. That's gonna be a problem. But I don't know which ones work or not. Like Provoke is probably a cut, even though it draws me a card. Ram Through also probably a cut. I don't know. I mean, I'll want Trample every game, but will it matter every game? I don't know. The protection spells are probably useful. Seed of Hope might not be good enough. That could be a cut. I added extra mill stuff. Actually, I think I am going to cut this. That makes me feel better. Maybe one of these elves are a cut. Anyway. I have 3 more slots, so let's add a few more permanents. I like that this does something in the graveyard and is a permanent. Cards like that might be really useful. I don't know if I have any more of them. Cards that care about graveyards. I have this one. I don't know if that one's good enough, in truth. I think this one might be. Gaining 5 life is not awesome, but it's a big old creature. I don't know. It's like not a useless card in the graveyard. Let's go for it. I mean, I think Annoyed Altasaur is the best of the high cost cards that I've got, without a doubt. I just don't know if I need it. I mean, I don't need the Brambleworm either, but like I said, it just does something in my graveyard if I mill it, which I likely will do. These are both good, but again, I think I have enough ramp. I don't want mid to late game ramp. Let me see. This is a sorcery. These are all sorceries. Do I have any instants that draw me cards? No. That makes this actually pretty good. That makes this pretty good. I want to try this card. Permanent that could draw me to. I'm going to try it. That leaves one more. Could be the Wayfarer's Bauble, which might actually be better than Moss Diamond. I think it might be. I shouldn't have cut it completely, but let's switch those out. I think I'm right about that. I kind of don't know what to do. I think I needed to play test this to see what cards are effective and what not. So I think that means I just add a card that's generically good to end things off here. So what that tells me is something like something that wouldn't ruin or mess anything up as well. I don't really want to add another non-permanent. In the Presence of Ages is actually stronger than I thought it was. I didn't realize it was an instant. I think there's also room for like pulling more permanents from my graveyard because I'll be milling. I'll add maybe one of those to the maybe board, and then just let's do the Dread Mask. It's the Altasaur. I know that's the right pick, but let's do the Dread Mask because it looks sick. All right, and that's the deck. That is the deck. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry this was so long, but hopefully it'll last you a long time. And I hope to do more of this in the future, probably a little bit faster as I get a little bit better. Um, but or maybe split among different things. Don't know. All right. Have a good one. Bye bye.